We are so excited to now have Mobility Movement as a partner. Their holistic approach to recovery is second to none. This is not just a program that helps with your flexibility and mobility, it also assists with stress release and sleep, two key factors in overall recovery. The website gives you a plan for each week, saves your favorites, gives you sleep protocols. The extensive library available to you is both vast and diverse.
And we have a new offer with our friends at Mobility Movement that will give you a free month after your 7-day trial. All you need to do is use the discount code Clydesdale free month, all caps, at checkout at mobilitymovement.com. That's mobilitymvmnt.com.
I've been using this since the first of the year, and I am sleeping better than I have in so many years. And with all the back issues I've had over the last 5 years, this has given me so much relief, and I'm able to work out 4 to 5 times a week without any pain at all. So go to mobilitymovement.com. That's mobilitymvmnt.com and use Clydesdale. Hey everyone, welcome to the Clydesdale Fitness and Friends. My name is Scott Schweitzer. I'm your host. I'm the Clydesdale. We love to do fitness. And this is my new friend, Jason St. Clair, owner and founder of Xendurance, and also a certified Major League Baseball sports agent, as well as agent for people in the fitness industry and other sports as well. We're going to dive into Jason's life, see how he got to this point, and get to know him a little bit better.
Welcome, thanks Jason. For having me. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. First things first, I see a jersey back there that says USA. So I know you played baseball in your younger days. That looks like a baseball jersey for Team USA. Did you play for them?
Yeah. And that's actually that jersey I kept because I was probably my favorite, I'd say, memory of my career was that team. So that's why it's framed and up there. But yeah, that was really the start for me when I was younger, when I realized that, hey, I could actually do this for a living. Kind of the backstory of that was when I was 17, I was a junior in high school. I was invited to Joplin, Missouri, and they invite 50 of the top prospects around the country to compete to make that team. And they'll end up keeping, I think, 24 there was, or no, there was 18, I think. So yeah, for 2 weeks, you play against junior college teams. And I ended up making that team. Wasn't probably supposed to make that team. Ended up being the starting second baseman and leadoff hitter for that team. Yeah, we won a silver medal against South Korea, 13 innings. I led off the game and ended the game.
Very nice.
Yeah, but one of my favorite summers and favorite teams and teammates. It was just a great experience. But that started off my career. Yeah,
it's always cool to represent your country in an event like that. So how did you get into baseball? Was it like your first love growing up?
Not at all. Not even. If people that know me, they know that I love extreme sports. I love adrenaline. I love to go fast. I grew up around motorcycles and dirt bikes. And even when I was playing in the off season, no one, I can say this now, but I was racing dirt bikes and mountain biking. When I was 9, I was trying to be a competitive wakeboarder when it first came out, surfing. Grew up on the rivers and lakes. So no, it wasn't my first love at all. My dad hated like skateboarding, thought some kids were punks that skateboarded, and looked at wakeboarding the same way. So that didn't work out for me. So, put me in baseball and soccer, and just, I was good at it. I was naturally just good at it. So I stayed with it and loved it, and, made a career for me. Opened a lot of doors.
Yeah. So you actually went on to play with the the Rays now.
They were the Devil Rays when I signed.
Yeah, I lived in Florida for 4 years. It's hard to get rid of that.
Yeah.
So the Tampa Rays, you did you go to college before that or right out of high school?
I signed out of high school. I was on my way to the University of Arizona, and I was mentally prepared to start as a professional, but obviously physically I wasn't. But I forgoed the opportunity to go play at University of Arizona and signed out of high school.
Yeah, that's that's a crazy thing with baseball, is that you have a lot of these kids signed at 18, and people taking a chance on them. And I love how you said that you were you were mentally ready, but not physically. How many kids did you experience that were that way, or flip-flop? They were physically ready, but not mentally.
Well, I would say let's just use the teammates I had on Team USA. Like they were more physical than I was, but I personally believe, and they were obviously mentally, you know, prepared too. But I felt like I was more mentally prepared. I was always that underdog, gritty type fighter type player. But they had the physical attributes, the strength, and the power. And it just came naturally younger for them. I was 5'10", 160 coming out of high school. I lost 12 pounds my first year. So I came back just a feather, and all that strain, you're playing every day. I wasn't used to playing every day. In high school, you play like, 2 or 3 games a week, maybe 4 games at the most. In pro ball, you're playing every day. You're making 100 150 throws before you even play a game, and swings. So, yeah, I was mentally ready. Feel like that's one of the attributes that I have that's a good quality of mine, but physically I wasn't ready. I had 2 elbow surgeries and one was Tommy John.
Ooh,
Yeah,
yeah, and that's a long comeback. Was that while
yeah,
you were in the minor leagues?
yeah. So I signed when I was 18, and just became injury prone ever since. So I had an elbow injury my second year. They said it was tennis elbow, but I had a slight tear in there, so they repaired it, took out the bone chips. The following year, played another year hurt with that injury, and then the year after that, completely tore it. And since I was a position player, they're trying to do everything to eliminate surgery and not have Tommy John, but ended up having Tommy John, and came back 6 months, from that surgery, which was way too early, and that pretty much, yeah, ended my career. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I played 7 seasons with them.
So pitchers, it's almost a 2 full year recovery to come back from Tommy John, and you came back in 6 months?
Yeah, 6 months, exactly. Yeah, I was that, I kind of pressured myself into it. Do you feel the pressure when you're at spring training, you want to be on the field and you have a good day and you're like, okay, I'm ready, but you don't think about, are you really ready? You know, um, but obviously I wasn't ready.
And so you talk about, extreme sports and that you now can say that you were doing all this other stuff. Were there restrictions to what you could do in the off season or on your off
Oh
days
yeah,
while
you
you were
couldn't walk
playing?
down the street. I mean, seriously, you can't play pickup basketball. You can't play, your turkey bowl, turkey trot type stuff. Like, no, you weren't supposed to do anything. I mean, you got to think about it. As employer, they pay you to be, on the field when you come back for that season, and so, it's understandable.
So where did you grow up that you were surrounded by rivers and stuff?
So I'm originally from SoCal. My parents moved me to Arizona in '89, and my father actually started running. It was called Arizona Ski Springs. So if you've ever seen a ski park with a tower and a rope, pretty much pulls you around a mile park. And so we had that in Arizona, and so he ran that. That's where I got introduced to, it was surfing at the time, became wakeboarding. So I was 9, I'd ski in their shows and be around all the professionals. But we also my parents had a river house about 14 miles out of Blythe, so in the Colorado River, and just grew up going to there. We had a boat there and jet ski, and yeah, or we'd go to Canyon Lake or Saguaro Lake right here in the valley.
Yeah, so I did the scurfing in 1986
Yes,
in
see,
Orlando,
yeah, they
for the
still have
first
that park
time.
there, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
I had a really hard time getting off the dock.
Did you?
Yeah, I would face plant. Oh, and I was like the fittest I've ever. I was there for US Swimming Nationals. And so on an off day, we went and I tried to do this and I had like great balance. I could not figure that out.
Yeah, I remember as a kid, just there were people that just couldn't get up that dock. We'd try to start them out with, like, knee boarding and stuff like that, but skis or scurfing was difficult for some people. I feel your pain. I remember watching that. I was like, "Ah, you almost got
Yeah.
it."
My one teammate, it came to him like he had been born to do it. He made it the whole way around the lap and didn't even fall coming in. Like it just was amazing.
And I
But
think that was my love for extreme sports. I feel like it's my therapy when I'm on the water. when I'm on a motorcycle, even though it's loud, it's just, that's my therapy.
Yeah, I love both of those things. I grew up in the water. I was a swimmer growing up, um, and motorcycles. That was my mode of transportation till I was about 24.
Was it? What'd you
Yeah,
have?
Kawasaki Ninja.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the 80s when that was the
Yeah.
cool thing.
Yeah.
But that's how I got back and forth to college. I lived in Pennsylvania, so it wasn't always warm, but man, it was a blast.
No, and Arizona too. And I followed my dad with the Harleys. But in Arizona in the summer, man, it's so hot. It's burns your face off. It's
Yeah,
terrible. Yeah.
yeah, I can imagine that wind coming through. God, that would not be good.
Yeah. I mean, I finally smartened up and got a helmet with a mask on it. But it was hot. It's still hot. It's like pins and needles in your face.
Yeah, I've only been to Arizona once, and I think it was like 118 degrees when I was there.
What year was that?
I was there for work, probably 2012, 13-ish.
Okay. Well, it's still just as hot here. No,
Yeah.
it's only in the summers from October to, May. It's really nice here. And then the summer months can be pretty brutal. You gotta get used to it. It's dry heat though. It's not that
Yeah, they kept
humid
saying
weather you
that,
get. Yeah.
but it still felt hot.
It's oven hot. It's
Yeah.
not like that steam room.
I think the thing that blew me away the most is we tried to go to like a ghost town outside of it was either Tempe or one of those. And the minute the sun goes down, you can see nothing.
Yeah.
Like there is no ambient light anywhere.
It's growing out here, so there's been a lot more lights added to streets, but yeah. Probably superstition area, you're probably outside of Tempe.
Yeah, that's probably what it was.
Yeah.
I just remember being freaked out when I couldn't even see my own hand.
Yeah, it gets dark out there in the desert.
Yeah, so you don't go to college, you go and you play in the pros. What was life like on the road? You hear all the stories of minor league baseball that it can be a really close-knit family because you're always like on buses and moving from here to there. What was it like for you?
Yeah, I think the experience of the minor leagues, a lot of people don't understand how rough it is, not only from the pay, but let's just put it this way. When I signed, they sent me to Princeton, West Virginia. I guarantee most people listening to this don't even know where that's at. When I was flying in, I had my CD player. Some of you guys don't even know what that is, and just saw this little barn, and that was the airport. And I'm like, what did I just do? You lived with the host family, which was great, because you connect with a lot of different people, a lot of diversity, teammates that come from everywhere. So there's a lot of positives, but man, you grind every day. You're at the field early. You're dealing with sometimes not great parks, in cities that there's really nothing to do. In Princeton, I personally started with a host family. And then they went out of town the remainder of the summer, so they put me in a hotel. So I lived in a hotel that got raided for certain drug issues, and you're on bus hours, bus rides for 6 to 14 hours, sleeping on the floor, not good food, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches every day before the game, maybe some top ramen if you get there early. It's brutal, but all you have to eat afterwards was Applebee's, the McDonald's, the Burger Kings. So it's not as luxurious as everyone thinks it is in the minor leagues.
Yeah, so is that the other Princeton?
West Virginia?
Yeah, Princeton,
Yeah,
New
yeah,
Jersey, and then there's the other
yeah.
Princeton.
Yep, that's the other one.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've actually been near there, in my trips from Pennsylvania to Florida and such, but, yeah, West Virginia is a whole 'nother world
Yeah,
altogether.
definitely. And it was eye-opening for me. I was 18 and I had traveled a lot, but it was eye-opening for sure.
Yeah. So you finally have to retire from baseball because of the injuries. What is the next step for Jason?
Yeah, so I always wanted to be a firefighter. That was always my plan B. Kind of grew up around it. My uncle was captain for 33 years with Orange County, and just loved it. Just was that innate feeling that was in me that I wanted to do that. Although baseball took me down a different path, I retired in '07, so I started testing for departments there, but the economy crashed because of the recession. the housing market. So cities weren't hiring. And so that forced me to go back to school and get a big boy job. So I went into corporate America, which I disliked a lot. I didn't dislike it. I know a lot of people live and work in corporate America, but it wasn't for me. I just felt like I had that entrepreneur spirit. I felt like I wanted to have some input to help, grow whatever I was doing. But I worked at a bank, small business specialist. I sold copiers. Man, if you can sell a copier, you can sell anything. That was probably the biggest humble pie I've ever eaten was selling copiers. That was extremely eye-opening to the real world. Sold document management, but that led me to opening the door of becoming a sports agent. I actually needed to go have that sales experience in order to become an agent for the agency that hired me. And so I went to work for the agent that actually represented me. And at the time, it was called Gaylord Sports. Phil Mickelson's agent was actually the founder of it. So if you ever heard of like Gaylord Hotels, they used to have radio as well, but it was Gaylord Sports. But we had different divisions. We had baseball, we had volleyball, we had NASCAR, we had football. And so I worked in the baseball division. And I really was mentored and groomed by my agent, who is now, was my boss. And so, yeah, that's how I got into it. And what led me to other things was I loved endorsements because I saw everything you see on a golfer is an endorsement, from the ball, their club, what's on their bag, what they're wearing. And a lot of people didn't know that. So I had learned that trait from the golf agents being in the office. And it led me to the sport of CrossFit. I kind of started doing it myself, loved it, and actually was reached out by one of my major league clients that was taking a level 1 seminar by Dave Lipson. And he was dating Camille at the time, Camille LeBlanc-Bazinet. And he was like, "Hey, what do agents do for you?" And they just started talking. Long story short, they put me in touch. And, I loved CrossFit myself. And I was like, I can see a vision here. And so I wanted to have the ability to give an athlete to be able to train all day and not have to work another job. And that's when social media started becoming present, and in baseball, you can reference contracts for money based on peers or past contracts or how they play numbers, right? There really wasn't that for CrossFit. And so we started doing it through social media we can actually reference by growth in, transactions or people to the site, whatever it was able to give the ability of partnership and a new way of marketing. Obviously, we've seen where marketing's gone. It's traditional marketing from radio and TV's kind of gone away for those smaller companies, but social media, man, is a powerful tool. That's how I got into sports management and saw a vision of wanting to help athletes with endorsements. And then the vision grew to not just endorsements, but I wanted to create brands. I wanted athletes to be a brand, and have that longevity after they're done playing. Have something to fall back on, because when I left baseball and the recession happened, I lost everything that I ever made. The recession took everything. My houses, the cash, I kept pouring them back into those houses, thinking I was going to keep them as this one day was going to end. It was a dark place. But again, that led me to wanting to help athletes. And then the other thing too is, in our earlier conversation was, I signed out of high school at 18. I think I had a lot to offer a family and a young kid to make that life decision, whether to go to college or go play professionally. Now if it's life-changing money, and we're talking millions of dollars, that's different, because for a lot of you that don't know this, in baseball, 99% of the time when a young high school athlete is offered a contract with signing bonus, they're also going to get their college paid for when they're done. So it's a win-win. You get money in the bank and you have your college if you want to go back. So that can be an easy decision for a young athlete, when they're
I did not know that was factored in.
Yeah. Yep. So it's huge. Yep.
So I want to go back and dissect a couple of the things you said. So you said that being a copy salesman led you to be a sports agent. And I'm assuming that means from a sales point of view, right? As an agent, you have to sell your athlete and what they can bring to the table. So it gave you that experience. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah. It was really a wish for the company. You had to learn to work with people, but you also had to learn to recruit. You had to learn to sell, right? You had to uncover the needs of what that company may need or that person. And it's all the same. We're all in sales in some sort of fashion, whether you're a doctor or you're a lawyer, you're always kind of selling, yourself or your brand or your
Yeah.
company. And so I just meant it in the way of like, I needed to learn sales. And that's not a bad thing. It's a great thing. But I just took a different approach, and I'm fortunate for that. It taught me a lot of things. Even at the time, I was just like depressed. It was a really great experience for me.
Yeah. And when you move to selling a copier to selling my favorite player, Bobby Bonilla, right?
Mhm.
That's a lot easier. And that is probably more down your alley, and you start to see advancement in what you're doing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, for me, obviously, the product, right? Knowing baseball as a product, I knew that, and I knew relationships and connecting that way. But I could uncover things with certain questions because I had gone through it. I'd known it, and so just being able to talk to another baseball player, I can uncover their needs as a sales approach, right? To see what they're looking for, what they need, and it was easier for me because I'd played, I'd been through it, through the process.
You also said you loved CrossFit. What kind of fitness did you do while in the minor leagues, or was there no time for that fitness aspect to accentuate what you were doing?
No, absolutely. Fitness was a big thing for me. It's always been a big thing for me. It's just completely active. But we had, when we say personal trainers, I'd go to a specific baseball trainer where we did movements and exercises and lifts that were specific to the movements that we do on the field. We didn't do a lot of biceps type stuff. You'd never go, upside down or anything like that. Or you wouldn't do certain types of squats or clean and jerk or something like that because of shoulders. But yeah, I went to a specific baseball trainer every off season with a group of other players, professional athletes.
How did you find CrossFit?
So, how did I find CrossFit? Oh, yeah, literally driving home from work one day, just saw a sign that said CrossFit and just looked into it. It was it, the owner August Schmidt here. It's East Valley CrossFit. Um, he just had his first location, really small. And I remember we'd throw the rowers outside and do double unders outside because there wasn't enough room. But literally, I was just driving home from work and saw the sign CrossFit and went and checked it out. And what I loved about it was traditional way of lifting was going to, the bodybuilding gyms and waiting for a bench or a machine. I never had to do that, and so for me, it was frustrating because like wanted to get my work in, get in and out. So I wasn't used to like waiting around. And I loved CrossFit. It was like an hour. You smash yourself, you get beat up, your hands are bleeding some days, laying on the floor, and it was addicting, right? And then the results you got too were addicting too. So that it was like a newfound love quickly.
Yeah, I remember the first CrossFit gym I went to, it was very narrow, and we couldn't do double unders inside because it was all turf. And
Oh,
so we either
okay.
brought in a piece of plywood to do double unders on, or went out back
Yeah,
if the weather was okay.
yeah, yeah, totally. Love that.
So so you find CrossFit, and then a lot of our listeners probably don't know this. They know who Dave Lipson is, now that he's Camille's husband. He was a games athlete at one time,
It
but
was.
most
Yeah.
people don't know that he was in the New York Mets organization for a brief stint of his career.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't I may think maybe the Dodgers. Maybe the Dodgers, I think he played for, in the
Yeah, I
minor
know he
leagues.
played for the Mets a little bit
Was it the
because we
Mets?
talked about that on the show with him.
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember exactly what team. I know he had played in the minor leagues. Yeah.
So he was a baseball player. Now he's, Thunder Bro and jacked and
Now he is ginormous and
right.
jacked. Yeah.
Yeah, does not look like a baseball player unless it's Jose Canseco.
Yeah. You'd have a tough time throwing. You'd be a good hitter though these days.
Yeah. Yeah. So you bump into Dave and you talk to him about being an agent in this space. How did that conversation go?
Well, so one of my clients, and actually his name is Tuffy Go Switch. He was a catcher for the Diamondbacks at the time, and he was taking a level 1 seminar from Dave Lipson
Okay.
because he did CrossFit in the off season. Actually, at the time, the only major league player probably at the time doing CrossFit type workout, which is kind of frowned upon, right? Because they talked about going upside down, lifts over your head. Just you don't do that in baseball. So he was taking that seminar, and Dave Lipson approached him saying, "Hey, what do agents do for you?" You know, and he's like, "My girlfriend Camille is getting approached by this company, Reebok, and they sent this contract, and we just don't know how to read it. We don't know what to do." And so they connected us, and we got on a phone call, and I read through the contract, and from there I saw a vision of really taking this and helping athletes become a full time, and let's make this sport a professional sport. That was the vision I had.
So how long did you stay with Gaylord before the lab thing came up?
So Gaylord I started in 2009, and I met Camille in 2012. And to back up, I started CrossFit in 2011, met Camille in 2012, and then I met Josh Bridges in 2013. And that's where lab became something, but it was called Potential Labs. I meant it as kind of play on words, professional, but has potential to be something. So it's called Potential Labs. And then when I found Cooper, Cooper worked for me with Xendurance. He was actually a teacher. I'm sure he told this story. He was a teacher, but loved CrossFit, super passionate about it. And he also was selling as a sales rep Xendurance products. And he had saw, what I was doing, as an agent, and really loved it. So when he came on board, God, I think it's been 3 years now. That's when we renamed it Lab Management. Yeah.
And how is that structure? Are you guys partners? Does he work for you?
I hired Cooper. At the time, he was just an employee, and let him earn sweat equity. And just funny story, as of last week, he will be now officially a partner. Yeah. I mean,
That's
he's earned
awesome.
it. He's earned it. It took me years and years to find the right person to kind of help do the day-to-day, and he does a really good job. Yeah, he does with his clients and people and understanding how the world works. He's done a really good job. Coop's the man.
We
Don't
love
let him
Cooper.
hear this part, though. It'll make his head even bigger. You don't need that.
Yeah, we love Cooper. He has such an interesting life, like from like high school math teacher
Oh,
to
yeah.
sports agent is just insane.
Right? I was like, "You're a teacher? I would not have listened to you at all." No, I'm kidding. We
Yeah.
joke around a lot.
Well, the funniest part of that story, and I don't even know if you know this, is he went to get his teaching certificate because there was a shortage of teachers, and he majored in like math and statistics and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The only part he couldn't pass off the get-go was the math portion because
Really? I did not know that.
yeah, he had to take it
Yeah.
like 3 times because it was math he hadn't done in forever. Like the basic math. He was up here doing calculus and the test was back in the like fractions
Well,
and
this is good to know. I'm gonna have to double check our books then,
yeah. Yeah. But he did
No,
pass it. He did pass it, and he said
he
it's
did.
one certificate he does not let lapse.
That's good. That's good. No, he's a smart kid, and yeah, he's earned it. He's become a partner, and I could see him one day completely taking over it for sure.
Yeah, he's awesome. That's so cool. So, when you met him, what did you see in him that made him the right fit for you?
For me, even that Xendurance, an employee that we would ever hire, we look for people that are self-motivated, people that are loyal, but people that have a passion for either what they're doing or the brand or the product or the service. And I saw all of that in Cooper. And he never went away. Very persistent, eager to learn, which he still is. And you just don't find that. But also too, the understanding of what world we're in, CrossFit or whatever sport it is. He understood that, and then the understanding of people and how athletes operate, because athletes do operate a lot differently than the civilians. Their mindset's different. They need to be maintenance different. But he understood all of that, eager to learn, persistent. Yeah, he kind of just rode my coattails for a while and just kind of watched and listened.
And he attributes you as his mentor a lot. In our interview with him, he mentioned you a ton as someone who got him to where he is today. And I'm not here to blow up Cooper. The reason I wanted to do that is, and I told this to Cooper, the client base that you have at Lab are some of the best people I've ever met in this space. And
Mhm.
so for you to pick Cooper, it tells a lot about then who your clientele are.
Yeah, and well, first of all, I appreciate that, and for Cooper for doing that too. But I think we all need mentors, right? And I was given that gift too by my agent, who was my mentor, and he was the one who gave me my life, my career, where I'm at now. And I always give him a shout out too. His name's Terry Bross. He played basketball at St. John's. He's 6'9", went out for the baseball team as a joke, played in the major leagues for 5 years, played in Japan. But he was experienced, you know, he had lived life and just a great overall person. And he taught me so much about not just the business, but how to deal with people, how to work with people, never burn a bridge. Everything's a relationship. But one thing that I learned from him was, you know, you always want to work with good people and you have that choice. And I saw him fire clients that would make him a lot of money. And that was a huge lesson for me. It was like, it wasn't worth the pain and suffering of dealing with that person because they weren't a good person. And that's the ability that we have, you know, as an agent. You got to be very selective, obviously, but yes, we have such amazing clients, just as people, not just athletes. They're just great people, and we're lucky for that for sure. Yeah,
Yeah, I've been a volunteer in a CrossFit space since 2014, and then I started this podcast in 2019. And so I've had an opportunity to meet a lot of your clients. And
awesome.
every one of them I would say is like they're the best of the best,
Yeah,
just
they
as
are.
people.
Yeah, and you'll hear me say too, fam. I use family all the time because that's just if we're in that camp together, that's what we are. We're family, and that's just how I look at it. But yeah, it's great working with some of our athletes. They're just such good people. Yeah.
And when you're a volunteer, you get a glimpse behind the curtain that some people don't, and not every athlete acts like your athletes do.
No, what kind of volunteering did you do?
So I was security, I was
Oh,
a
okay,
judge, I did athlete control. I've done a little bit of everything.
that's awesome. Yeah, yeah. Again, we have some really great athletes and just great people though, and like literally, I will see lifelong friendships from these clients as well as Cooper.
Yeah. So I also want to talk about your other business, Xendurance, major supplement company. You know, you talked about the nutrition you got on the road as a minor league baseball player. How much of a role did that play in wanting to find or own or build a supplement company to help with that?
Everything. Really, it was everything. And the backstory of that was when I was a player, I want to say it was 2004. I came back, like I mentioned, I lost weight every year. And so I needed to put on weight. Well, I was given a supplement that I put on weight. Well, come to find out that wasn't a drug-free certified product. And it gave me a kidney infection. Like I was really sick for weeks and I got it from a reliable source. You know, so from after that, I never took any supplements. I just didn't trust it. And then like muscle milk became a thing and protein shakes and stuff like that. I still didn't trust it. But my father was in the manufacturing supplements for about 20 years. And so when I retired, I'd been doing endorsements and he had given me the product Extreme Endurance. And if you've ever heard of it, it's proven at the time when I saw it, it was proven to reduce lactic acid and raise aerobic threshold. I was like, this is snake oil. There's no way. This is impossible. I've taken everything. There's no way. Sat on my desk for 2 weeks. I was racing mountain bikes at the time against my dad and my brother. And you're always looking for that competitive edge, right? I was like, what the heck? I don't get drug tested anymore. Might as well give it a try. And tried it. I was breathing easier. My legs were recovering. I was recovering immediately after the workout. Tested it 3 different times. I was like, this has to be placebo. Finally called the founder. I'm like, what is in your product? How come you're not muscle milk big? How come I've never heard of you? And he laughed. And in fact, if you go on to a post that I made today. There's an athlete on there, an MMA fighter, on the Joe Rogan show, and he was basically said, can't believe I'm going to tell you my secret, but this is the company that I used. The problem was people did see an advantage when they took that product, Extreme Endurance. They didn't want to tell anyone else they're on it, even myself. I didn't want to tell my brother or my dad that was on that product. So anyhow, I just saw that product helping everyone because we've had many clinical studies, 2 are published, but it's proven to reduce lactic acid. It's proven to reduce oxidative stress, was the leading cause of degenerative disease today. Okay, it's also proven to reduce CK levels. You've heard of rhabdo, right? That could possibly prevent rhabdo. And so from there, I realized, firefighting for me was a way to help people. But this is a way I can help people's lives, because if you don't have your health, you got nothing. You really don't. Money, fame, whatever it is, you can't take it with you. You can't be here if you don't have your health. And so that was my way of like, hey, let's continue to build off this product line that our founder, Sandy Kellen, built. And let's fill the gaps with things that we need from those micronutrient perspective, and prove it to the people of these things that we need and they work. And that's really how organically I got into being an owner of Xendurance.
That's crazy.
Just by passion. Yeah.
Oh, and the fact that it wasn't out there is because people loved what it did for them and they didn't want to share it because they wanted to beat their friends.
And it's made it very difficult because of that to build a company. We in 2012 was our first CrossFit games. We set up a tent, we were there in California. We could not give it away. I'm telling you, we could not give it away. So then after that, we made our 30-day pouch into a 1-week trial, and we called it a skeptic pack. And so for $5, you could try it for a week and you could see results. And from there, people saw results and they just came back. And actually, we don't even sell those anymore, 1-week packs, because people actually see the results from that product, Extreme Endurance.
So how big is your product line now?
I believe we have 18 SKUs. That ranges from everything from, there's a lot of health and wellness products in that people don't realize. They look at us as sports performance, but if you really took a deep dive into our product line, you'd see that our daily foundation products, which is the Extreme Endurance, a multivitamin, our omegas, we have creatine, we have a probiotic, pre and probiotic, we have collagen and greens. There are health wellness products in there for your everyday that you need. But then we have the performance, we have the Fuel 5, we have obviously Extreme Endurance, we've got Focus, which could be a coffee alternative, midday pick-me-up, or pre-workout. But yeah, we feel like we have every product to kind of fill the gap. And we're continuing to build. We have another product launch in June of a new product. A little hint, this is an adaptogen product. So that's coming. And then also at the end of this year, you'll see a new product line that has to do with health and wellness, but it's not supplements, from Xendurance, which would be pretty cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so did you ever see yourself as the CEO of a supplement company?
No. And I hate titles. Anyone that knows me close, I hate it. I truly hate it because it can come and go. I've had things taken from me, like what I experienced in 2007 with baseball, and really losing everything. Hate titles. And if you're part of our membership at Xendurance, it's called Team XND, and that's for a reason. It's because we're a team and everyone works together. I'm not the end all be all. If we have big decisions and we need something to be made as a decision, yes, I'm there to help make a decision, but I want all team input there. But no, never saw myself in this position at all.
So you mentioned things that are coming out soon, but I want to get into your family life a little bit, because everything I've read about you, family is one of the first things that pops up in any bio of you.
Yeah.
And you have a wife. I think her name's Dre.
Her name's Andrea, but I call her Dre.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like Dr. Dre.
She is the doctor of the house. But
and you have 3 girls?
I have 3 girls and a boy.
3 girls and a boy.
Yeah.
Wow, you're still outnumbered. I didn't know about the boy, but you're still outnumbered pretty pretty hard.
Yeah, he's 1. He just turned 1. He's the best. His name's Cruz.
Nice.
Yeah. Don't worry, I got the girls too, okay? The girls are over here.
Nice
Yeah.
cursive with the girls.
Yeah.
Good
He got
stamp
his own. I
font
couldn't fit him on that arm. He had to go on the other arm.
with
Yeah, honestly, family is everything to me. I was raised and close to my family and my parents. At the end of the day, it's all we got, right? But of all the things that I've accomplished, my most proudest accomplishment is my family, for sure. The 3 girls and boy, they just, it's tough. It's tough when you're in the thick of it, changing diapers and no sleep, but it's definitely worth it. They're everything.
Yeah, my daughter, I only have one kid. She just became a senior in college.
Wow. Time
Yeah, so
flies, huh?
I'm on the other end of it.
You are on the
Um,
other end of that.
and it's a little bit emotional, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah. My wife, she jokes with our little ones. She's like, "You can live here forever." I'm like, "No, they're done when they're 18, they're out." But we're seeing it, how fast it's going for sure. I told my wife the other day, our middle Tatum, she's 5, gonna be 6, and she's walking away the other day. I was like, man, she just looks taller, and she's learning these words at school, and she can read now. It's like, what is happening? It's gone by so quick. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy when you're a parent because you go through these ebbs and flows, throughout the whole process. My daughter wanted to be a photographer, and as a dad, you're like, "Well, that's awesome, but how are you going to make money?" Like
Right.
that's the first reaction, right? And then here she is. She's just becoming a senior. She already has a job with a fashion company. She's the photo editor of the college magazine.
Amazing.
And like I couldn't be happier for her. And I'm so glad that like I didn't stifle that. Like
And
that.
proud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So proud of her.
Yeah. And honestly, that's a huge thing. When you ask me about like baseball and stuff, yeah, my dad maybe discouraged me a little bit from extreme sports, but he always let me do kind of what I wanted as a sport. Like, I didn't love soccer. He's like, okay, we'll stop playing soccer. What do you want to do next? Played basketball. I was terrible at basketball. I could shoot, but I was terrible at dribbling. I don't know why. It's like the guitar. I can't tell my brain can't tell my fingers what to do. It's weird. Um, but baseball, he didn't let me play football until I was in high school. But he just let me do it and kind of just let me figure it out, and wasn't, I guess, pestering me to do one thing what he
How
thought
hard
was
is
gonna
that
be best.
for you to do today with your kids?
Easy,
Yeah.
really easy. In fact, this is happening right now. Our kids are in between gymnastics and dance, and one of them just figured out she loves gymnastics more than dance. And so we stopped dance, and she's going to gymnastics. We found the other one loves gymnastics, never liked to dance. And so yeah, actually, my oldest, she's 8, hated dance. Um, loves gymnastics a little bit, but is loving soccer, like really
Mm.
loves soccer. So I want the same experience for them to kind of figure it out on their own. And I think that's the best way, in my opinion.
Yeah, so I
Parenting's
asked
tough
this
though. Parenting's
it
tough.
it is. But I asked this of a lot of people who are married. So how did you and your wife meet?
Oh, there's a story. Um, so when I came back from Team USA, this makes me emotional. 17, realized I was going to be possibly a professional athlete, and so I was actually had scholarships offers to play football, but decided not to play my senior year and focus on getting stronger for baseball. And so my dad's like, well, if you're not going to play, you need to get a job. And so I worked at LA Fitness, and so I worked the front desk. She worked childcare. The day that she walked in, I was like, who is that? you know she had the older boyfriend though, and she went to a different high school. But as we got to know each other towards the end of our senior year, right before I signed, we got together. And so we were together my whole career, 7 years. And then we broke up for 8. And I even got married in between. Yep. She had moved to San Diego. And I am divorced, have no shame in anything. So any questions are not off limits, but I'm divorced. Some people look at it as a very negative thing. And we weren't the right fit. My heart was always with my wife now. And we reconnected and we've been married for 6. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's crazy. And it's
Like
easy.
it was always meant to be. You just had to go on your own journeys to get there.
Yeah. And the girls are just more mature than us boys and they learn a lot quicker. I guess she had to teach me a lesson. No, she was ready to really settle down at 25 and I was just really focused on my career. As men, we never think it's the right time. It's like, oh, we don't have enough money, or we don't have the house yet, or we don't have, that's where I was at in the mindset. And now my advice is the timing will never be right. You'll figure it out.
So after you got back together and reconnected, how long did it take for you to ask her to marry you?
6 months. Yeah. How things meant, we believe in things are meant to be for a reason and things, as a plan and things happen. And she, at the time, was a pharmaceutical rep in San Diego. And she was a 3rd grade teacher, mind you, before she got that job. So very difficult to get that job. And so not in a million years did we ever think she could get a transfer job to Arizona. Well, she applied for one, she got it. She moved back to Arizona, and in an instant, it was like, we got to get married, because there are some hardships on that too. We were not together for quite a while and we got to not know each other, if that makes sense. But we did in a way,
Yeah.
My
wife and I broke up for a short period, not 8 years, but just coming back, you have to earn the trust back. Right.
Yeah.
And tough.
Yeah. And that was definitely on the forefront of my mind. It was always proving that. And it's a very valuable lesson too, because that took me in my life to make sure that you prove trust in everything that you do. And that's like one thing at Xendurance. We got to prove that these work. We got to build that trust. I want the customer to trust us, or I want this relationship to trust us. Or client needs to trust us. That's everything in a relationship.
Yeah. And it keeps going. Like the sponsor has to trust the client and,
Yeah.
all of that. It just keeps building on each other. But well, Jason, I have to tell you, this has been an enjoyable conversation. Just sitting back, having a nice bro sesh here.
Yeah.
But I want to let you get back to your day, and thank you so much for jumping on with us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll talk to you soon.
You too.